Welcome to this edition of Voice of the Diaspora. Today in studio, I have a very special guest, the new regional chairman of Region Number 10, a very hardworking, dedicated, committed young man who has worked assiduously over the years in community activities and in community work. And as a young politician. He has been making strides as a party chairman, and now he has moved to that noble position of regional chairman of the Regional Democratic Council, Region Number 10. Darren Adams will be joining me now in studio. Welcome to the program, Darren Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Norman Brown. It's an honor to be here to share some of the plans and the programs that we have and to tell you a little about some of the work that we've been doing, that I have been doing here in the region over the past years. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I want to extend a thank you too for your willingness to participate here today to join this program. I know you have a very busy schedule. As a matter of fact, I understand that you were at the inauguration today. Um, you were sworn in today officially as a regional chairman, as regional chairman of Region 10 at the convention center, Lilindale, the Artatron Convention Center. And I think it is the vice president who would have presided over that ceremony. Just give us a little brief overview on what transpired today.
Yeah, well, actually, it was the president. He was there, His Excellency Mohammed Irfan Ali. Um, it was a very interesting, historic, very. It went smoothly, and I was honored to take the oath of office, so without fear or favor, as the famous saying goes, and to serve the people of the region. I have no personal agenda, no vested interest. I I'm about developing Region 10 and bringing communities together. And you know, as outlined in the past, in conversations, in other interviews, my work will continue to be one which is to do just that. And so today we had a smooth ceremony, myself and the vice chairman, along with all the other regional chairmen and vice chairpersons for the various other regions. And we're honored to be able to serve the people across the length and breadth of Guyana, but particularly here in Region 10 for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. I have done my research, and it's remarkable that so many people in the community speak so highly about you, and of course there is this feeling that you are very passionate and hardworking and committed in the things that you do. You would have started out humbly, I understand, with a small internet business, and that transformed into several businesses, not only for your family and your well-being and your welfare, but it spun out to something that became a charity like business that would help young people in the area of education, in the area of technology, and in many other areas. You have been so dedicated and committed. I want you to briefly tell us in the diaspora and at home in Guyana how that journey started and how it blossomed.
Well, it all happened in 2006. At the time in Linden, the unemployment rate was very high. Coming out of school, you couldn't find a job. Um, Things were very tough. And I decided to uh, get involved in in business. It all started with an order, a request that was made by one of the local churches. Me being a musician, I play the drums, the keyboard, and a bit of the guitar. somebody contacted me from one of the local church just to ask me if I can source a drum set for them. And I did so successfully. I ordered a drum set from a company overseas called Samash Music Store, brought it in. And once that was done and we were able to, iron out the paperwork and so on, a next member from the church wanted me to bring in some books. I remember it was Paula White books the person had asked for. And that's how the online shopping started.
Okay.
Just like that, a business was created. I started bringing in um, clothing and shoes and all of these things. We eventually got a building we rented. And then quickly, uh, recommendations were coming in from other parts, from customers, and companies started engaging me. I remember doing business with companies like Oh My Gold Mines, Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, where we brought in footwear for the entire workforce. Um, and we started, doing work for many other companies, the Linden Economic Advancement Program, LEAP. We did purchasing for them, the Ministry of Health, Agriculture, Education, and the business grew and it blossomed. But one of the things that I was always cognizant of is that I never wanted 5 years to pass and and I was still doing the same
Yeah.
business or selling the same product because I quickly understood that the market was so small that other persons would have learned how to do online shopping for themselves.
Yeah.
And in an attempt not to become irrelevant or redundant, the key is to always be innovative, to think out of the box, to have something else prepared. And so, merging on from the online shopping, when Republic Bank brought out their One Plus card and everyone started doing shopping, I started to I started a bookstore where we were bringing in medical books for nurses. Um, we were able to source those books and sell them back very cheaply to nurses. Um, and once things got slow with that, we started doing the property management where we were buying properties, fixing them up, selling them back. I rented to the U.S. Embassy, Peace Corp, um, the Jehovah's Witness organizations, and many others persons who we were able to connect and provide a place of comfort for them to stay when they were on mission here.
Yeah.
And it went on. We were able to start a photocopy leasing business where I connected with some partners overseas that supply the Xerox brand machines.
Yeah.
And we were able to bring those machines in, place them in schools across the region for free. Um, and, you know, we were able to provide relief in a sense where teachers who had to do test papers and all of these things, they no longer had to be running helter skelter. They could have done it from in the comfort of the school or at the education department. And things blossomed. And we went into, I launched the Print Smart initiative in 2016
Okay.
because I recognized that we wanted to bring the cost of printing down. When we did the survey, school children were paying $300 in some cases for colored print. And in cases of black and white, they were paying as much as $60, $40.
Yeah.
And we were able to bring that down to $10 for black and white prints and just about $90 to $100 for colored prints. And the Print Smart initiative was launched, and it's still effective today. Their children and teachers and nurses are benefiting from it, and I'm happy that I was able to bring that level of service to the people of Region 10.
And then your business. I mean, that's a very solid start. I can understand totally. You know, the person you are, religious, you into music, you're community spirited, you're business like, and of course you have served on the Linden Chambers of Commerce. You got involved
Yeah.
in politics. You became the chairman of the Linden Region 10
Yeah.
PNC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and you are also, I think, the CEO of Corporate Supplies. So is
Yeah.
corporate supplies now a major small business industry, or a number of industries coming out from that little internet shop that you would have started out with?
Yes.
Briefly tell us what
Yeah.
corporate supplies is about and what it's involved in, and how does that buffer your number of connection with different programs and industries and charitable causes and so on.
Okay. Well, one of the things we did in 2018 or 2019, I think, I was approached by the First Lady and her team, and she wanted to do training in information and communication technology here in Region 10. But there was no facility to accommodate that kind of training at the time. And so once she would have presented the vision that she wanted here for the region, I quickly made an investment where we refurbished the room. We brought in the computers within a month, um, and we created the ICT center there, the resource center,
Yeah,
as it is referred to. And we did the training for young people between the ages of 16 to
I
25.
think we've gone off the.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we completed the training for persons between the ages of 16 and 25. Um, and they were able to learn, uh, the skills, how to manage various softwares, basic um, computer
Yeah.
stuff, and so on. The good thing about that is that coming out from the workshop, and we trained 120 young people, coming out from that workshop, a number of the young people have been employed, just over 80% of them, because the David Granger administration had created the National Data Management Agency, where they were trying to digitize Guyana's information. And those young people are still employed there. Um, Many of them, we made recommendations for them, and they're working in the private sector. Some of them are working right at corporate supplies there. I am no longer there since taking public office. I would have resigned from the company. And one of the young persons there, she is now managing the operation. And we would have, uh, many of them are working. I remember one guy, we did a reference to him. He's now working in the aviation sector. Um, Another young lady, she's working at a radio station, 104.3. A few of them are working at the National Data Management Agency. And just yesterday, unfortunately, one of the young women who would have gotten a job in the Amerindian Affairs Ministry, she called me to say that she was dismissed from her job. I did not get into details, but I will follow up to find out what exactly occurred there.
Transpired. Yeah.
Uh, because it's a sad situation
That
that
situation
would
of
have
witch
occurred.
hunting that is happening, and I would presume you're talking about.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Let us go in to the program, the political aspect of the program, because you have made some strides in terms of local politics. And you said that on this day, and you were speaking at the election when you were elected, and the
mm,
councillors were elected. I think it was in October, 3rd of October,
yeah,
at the Regional Democratic Council. You made a statement. You said, "On this day, I commit to you without reservation that I will work tirelessly to champion the cause of Region 10, to lead its
mm-hmm,
mission, and to strengthen and secure its future." Are you
Yeah.
optimistic that the present administration would work along with your council to see the development of Region 10?
Well, the good thing is that the we're living in a era of technology. Um, they're on record saying that they are willing to work. In fact, I've had discussions with the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development. I've had discussions with the Minister of Health today, and the Regional Executive Officer that visited the region. And I told him, I said, my vision for this region, sir, is to develop Region 10. It is my hope first that you will execute all of the projects that you would have inherited by the David Granger administration. And I call out the Christianburg School that is under construction, the
Yeah.
synthetic track for our athletes here in Region 10, the road from Linden to Lethem, and many of the other projects that were initiated. And they have made a commitment that they will work, that they will support the council in its mandate going forward. And so I'm going to hold them to that.
You're going to hold them to that. Let us go to this clip, because it is very, very important that the diaspora and the nation hear from you the things that you're saying, and with the passion and the zeal that you're saying these things with. I feel, and I think that many Guyanese and most of the people from Region 10 would feel very safe, because they would feel as if they're in good hands because of how you deliberate, because they can sense that urgency, that kind of passion, and that strength of character, and of course, which would translate into your leadership. I feel safe as an activist, an old activist from way back, that with someone of your character and style, that the region will be properly represented. You thanked your predecessors and so on, and you thanked Renis Morion for the influence he had, and you would want to emulate his time in office. But there would have been a difference, because Mr. Morion, as regional chairman, would have been working with a government of his own party. This is a situation that you are in now that may equate with your predecessor period, Sharma Solomon, and those things that had gone with it. The question I'm asking you is if you feel, or if you would trust with your gut instinct that perhaps this new administration would be genuinely looking out for the interests of the people of Linden and Region 10. But before you answer that, let us go to this clip where you were deliberating.
Allow me to use the established protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I'm humbled. Councillors of the RDC, welcome, and I'm happy to join you on this your new role here in the region. Together we will do wonders, and we will transform our region in the interest of our people. I'm humble, and I would like to thank God, first of all, for allowing me this opportunity to be here in the land of the living. I would also like to thank the leadership of the APNU AFC for allowing my name, and on behalf of all the councillors representing the APNU AFC, for allowing our names to be included and shortlisted on the regional list. We are grateful, and I acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Amna Ali, our General Secretary, and her team. We are grateful. I would also like to thank my family and friends for their support over the years. Thank you for the trust and confidence you have invested in me by electing me to serve as your regional chairman. I am truly honored and proud to be formally and publicly installed as the chairman of this respected institution. And on this day, I commit to you without reservation that I will work tirelessly to champion the cause of Region 10, to lead its mission, and to strengthen and secure its future. I know it's a significant commitment, but I am prepared to contribute along with the newly elected and returning councillors to build upon the successes of what we would have achieved over the past 5 years and to fulfill the RDC's mission, which is to support, promote, and protect our people's interests here in Region 10. As you know, comrades, the Regional Democratic Council is the principal planning and policy-making body here in our region. It is the primary institution that over the past 5 years particularly has been coordinating, and over this life of this council, however long it may be, will continue to coordinate and set the direction for all of the social and economic development endeavors here in the region. You're aware that in any organization, planning is important, and at the level of the committee, I can assure you that we will continue to plan carefully, to meet with our people at the grassroots level, to connect with them, to hear their views. It is important, it is necessary, because it will address the needs of our people across the region. I was privileged to visit a number of communities during the campaign, and I can tell you that over the past 5 years, I was happy to see that when I touched in the Berbice River, for example, at places like Wiruni and Ibini, I was able to have access to the internet. And I want to thank President David Granger for extending that service of information and communication technology to the rural communities. I'm happy to also report that during those visits, I was happy that under the health sector, we were able to provide water ambulances to our people at Wiruni, and it is working in the entire Berbice River. Ibini, in the Demerara River, there is also a water ambulance there that will provide assistance in the case of an emergency to our people. I was privileged and fortunate enough to be a part of the sustainable livelihood and entrepreneurial development. And I call upon the administration to let us work together to continue the program of SLED, because it provided opportunities and employment for young people across the region. I can tell you about block-making factories. I can tell you about farming. I can tell you about young people getting employment by having funding for their own business. And so we commend the Sustainable Livelihood Entrepreneur Project, and we hope that together as an administration and a council, we can continue to work together. I am happy to say to you today that Region 10, and I am proud, was the first region to implement a plan of action for regional development. And in my opinion, and in my perusal of the document, PARD actually complements and it strengthens the vital role of the Regional Democratic Council in its mandate going forward at coordinating initiatives that will further accelerate development in our region. And I call on the current government to ensure that PARD is fully implemented so that our people can live an enjoyable life. It is my hope that very soon we will continue to engage the various stakeholders across the regions, the churches, the youth groups, the private.
The question stands. Beautifully delivered. I feel strongly that you are presidential material, and I hope that the tides would change and that young men like yourself, with the vision, with that zeal, with that ability to articulate so eloquently, will lead Guyana. But the question stands: do you believe, given what is happening and what has happened, do you believe that your council will get that support from the
Well,
PPP government?
one of the things, Mr. Brown, I want to make very clear that persons over the years, I believe they have come to understand that while it may be politics, or while they may think that it's all about politics here, especially in Region 10, they must also look at the other side of the coin and know that for some people it's about survival. I believe that is clearly understood by now. And when you look at what occurred in the past, um, the administration of the day would have had the opportunity. They would have created some amount of instability here in the region, and we know what it led to. And so that is very clear for them to understand that while some may want to play politics, the the people in Region 10, to many of them, it's about survival, and we do not want to, you know, go that route. Let us, at all times, you said publicly that your mandate, that your vision is to deliver for all the people of this country. When we took the office today, we understood, and it was mentioned by the president, that we put aside the politics and we focus on development. And so we will hold them accountable. One of the things that I have discussed with the committee, with the councillors, is that in preparation of the community action plan, which each councillor will have an opportunity to complete within the area assigned to them, we will record all of the things that the people would have highlighted to us. We will bring it to the council, we will discuss it, we will vote on it, and we will attach a resolution sheet to those actions. And we will set timelines for them to be executed. And if they're not executed, then we will go back to the people and inform them that this is the position, that we would have made representation on your behalf. As you would have said just now, I know a lot of people are optimistic, they're looking, but you highlighted just a few seconds ago that operating in opposition is different from when you're in government. So I'm actually swimming against the tide. So, what I will say, however, is that in cases where I can find solutions, I will not wait on the government um, in the event if they are not willing to listen and execute based on the consultations that we would have had. We will, as a council and as leaders here, engage our partners and people in the diaspora. I can give an example. We had cases where nurses were complaining of one box of masks for an entire month to use at facilities across the region. And I with a foundation overseas that has over the years, and within a week we were able to bring in over 1,000 face masks, boxes that is, and we have delivered them to health centers across the region. Um, Very soon we'll be going to the Borbis River. A next shipment is on its way. And so and I'm speaking about masks and face shield and hand sanitizers and gloves and gowns for them to wear. One nurse complained that a patient threw up on her and messed up her uniform. And so we will continue to listen. I made a comment on Facebook the other day where I said sometimes not everything is about power or money, but sometimes it's just about listening to stories. And that is why we have been out in the field listening to our people. We'll be going into every community: Victory Valley, Christianburg, Wizrock, every community, Retrieve, Carcara, Amelia's Ward. We'll be going, we'll listen, we'll record the information, and uh, document it on our community action plan, CAP, make recommendation for it to be placed in the budget, the 2021 budget, those things that did not make it into the 2020 budget. And we will hold the government um, accountable by those very documents that we will show to the media after we would have made representation for our people.
Let me ask you a question because we know that Guyana politics is a peculiar one and it's unique in itself and its various forms of manifestations in terms of the division, the racism, the greed, the corruption. Here's a situation where people are saying to me that the PPP is still seen as an illegal government. There's a petition before the
Mm-hmm.
courts, and the PPP is desperate to win communities such as Linden so that they can rule Guyana forever. And
Mm-hmm.
they intend to bring real development and to empower people because they feel that people will vote for them, and they feel that people will enjoy that beautiful suite and support them. Where that leaves the opposition, one is yet to fathom.
Mm-hmm.
In local politics and national politics to an extent, there has always been this turf protecting mechanism, this sort of keep our supporters intact. Are you
Mm-hmm.
afraid that you in your administration, during the tenure of your administration, that you are embraced by the PPP civic government while they may be doing things nationally that is counterproductive to race relations, and there may be corruption at other levels, and a number of other things, the controlling of the Guyana police force and all these things at a national level. Do, do you believe that you would be able to maneuver to keep your constituency in place, and also to bring development to the community under an administration, or would it be like what would have obtained before, where there's that defense mechanism in the sense that things are frustrated because an election would be coming and you couldn't make the PPP look good? Where do you stand in those regards?
Well, I'll tell you this. Over the past 5 years, for example, and I'm not fearful of it, I believe the people in Region 10 would have been privileged to uh, be to live under both administrations. They have made a judgment for themselves. In fact, in the 2020 elections, the votes would have increased from 16,000 to 19,000 plus. Of course, the list is bloated, so you can't have an accurate figure of persons who may not have been in Guyana or in the region that did not vote until we, of course, push for house registration. But as I said, um, when you look at the development that occurred over the past 5 years under the David Granger administration, one can quickly come to the conclusion that it's going to be a very tough challenge for the PPP. They, of course, must come with a genuine um, heart to the people. Um, I'm still to see how that is going to be achieved. You look at the COVID-19 cash grant, for example, and I'm getting calls every day of persons saying that it is being done in a discriminatory manner. From Amelia's ward, come all the way down to Carcara there in Mackenzie, and homes are being passed. People are not too happy.
Yeah.
There was no consultation on it. Had consultation been done, I would have quickly been able to say to the government of the day that we should start in vulnerable communities like Christianburg, like Victory Valley, like Blueberry Hill. An exercise like this should have started in communities on the Wisma Shore, and then you go to places like Aichuni, and then you come down the way. But there was no consultation, and persons are upset. They feel neglected, rejected because they're in some cases they're being told that they do not qualify. But I am happy to have served to be a part of um, a group of people, a leader, in President David Granger, that listened to stories, and through those engagements, he created initiatives such as the 5Bs program. Um, just yesterday, Saturday on our walkabout, I saw a bus that was just deserted. And it's my hope that the spraying of these vehicles, you can maybe remove the name, as somebody said, but you can't remove the legacy. So a lot of what has happened in the past, for the first time, for example, Region 10 has won the championship 16 years plus. And the administration of the day never saw it fit when they were in power pre 2015 to build a synthetic track in Linden. A synthetic track was started under President David Granger, and they have now committed to finishing that track, completing it. You look at the breakfast and the buses and the bicycles and boats, um, the water ambulances that were given to the people in the Berbice River and the Demerara River at Malali. It's going to be an uphill task for them to match what occurred under the David Granger administration. The rebuilding of the Christianburg School, health centers all across the region, the paving of the Linden to Lethem Road, all of these they had already completed feasibility studies on these things, and they will now have to come with something new. And that's what we're challenging them to do. Come and put on something new, a factory. Let's create employment. Let's get involved let's continue the Green State Development Strategy. Continue to implement the Plan of Action for Regional Development, as I would have said, because I believe it complements and it strengthens the work that we will be doing here in the region. Don't just shelve it. I'm happy that they're continuing with the Sustainable Livelihood and Entrepreneur Development SLED. That's a project that I was involved in, and it created employment for young people. And so they will have an uphill task, to match what would have occurred. Look at salaries. Look at old age pension. We increased salaries when we took office. It was about 30 something thousand. We doubled it, more than doubled it. Sweeper cleaners were getting about what? Between 15 and 25,000. They're now getting $60,000. And nurses received their allowances, their risk allowance. They receive uniform allowance. Teachers got duty free. Over 300 teachers got duty free. Over 1,800 young people benefited from scholarships under the David Granger program. So, and these are documented. The police force was professionalized. A new police station was constructed at Mackenzie. A new police station was budgeted for at Wismar. And so look at the dormitory that is being constructed right now at the trade school. So young people who want to study and do courses in mechanic and ICT don't have to worry about accommodations. These all started under the David Granger administration. So it's going to be an uphill task, first of all, for them to win the hearts and minds of the folks in Region 10. You go into office, you start, getting rid of people because you're of the view that they're affiliated to a party. You start sending them home. The Kokwani to Aichuni Road was maintained for the past 5 years. When I first went to Kokwani, it took me 4.5 hours to travel from Mackenzie to Kokwani. I remember bringing this to the attention of the president at a general council meeting, and in 2 weeks after, equipment were on the road, maintaining that road till today, or up until when we left office, the road was maintained. And it is my hope that they will continue. I noticed they would have issued tags out to the forest, the folks in forestry. These are all things that happened in the past. And so we started the call center, for example. It was budgeted for. Um, the most that they can do is complete these projects. The Linden Suzaik Highway, resurfacing it. We started putting lights on it. We'll hold them accountable. Let them complete it. If you and
Uh,
then we can have that conversation and if they can win the
and
hearts
yes,
of the
I am
people of
glad
Region
that
10.
you made that clear because many people need to hear this. And we're looking at a situation where, yes, as you correctly said, we want them to commit to providing that sort of support in the developmental trust of the region as you know, as wider Guyana also, and so
Yeah.
on. Because they are the custodians of the people's money, the people's wealth, the people's everything. You understand? So in doing
Yeah.
that, we have to understand that that has nothing to do with the support for a political party or another. That's the responsibility of any
Yeah.
government to do the duties that satisfy the nation as a whole.
Yeah.
People will be saying that is what they want to see. But we are seeing very hard, as you just highlighted, that there is that little program where people are getting monetary aid, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose, for the pandemic,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
they're being discriminated against because they're from Linden, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are seeing these things, what do we expect when it comes to the macro developmental programs
Yeah.
that should benefit all Guyanese? Let me just go
Mm-hmm.
quickly to this clip before you add something. Because I like your optimism, but I really want to get down to the bottom of the reality of understanding what is really happening. And so I want to get to this. I'm getting some technical difficulties there. I don't know what's happening. Um,
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy today we would have met with the minister with responsibility for information. We would have had fruitful discussion and a commitment was made that we will work together, collaborate to build upon the successes of the past to ensure that the people of Region 10 continue to have access to information. Um, there may be some innovative measures to be put in place to tweak the content and the programming. And we look forward to ensuring that the people of Region 10 continue to receive value and programs that will speak to the development of all of the people of the region. Thank you.
what happens if what happens if very early you would be seeing you know the government's attitude, negative attitude towards supporting Linden's development? What action will you be taking? What would you be doing outside of bringing that information to the people, of course, that they would have already, known? What action would you be taking as a regional
Well,
chairman to fight for that
well,
developmental?
as I said, the order of the day will be representation. I believe in meeting with the leaders, we must articulate clearly what our vision is for the region. Um, while we will be encouraging that all our people too are involved and play a pivotal role in assisting us, they will be given the opportunity. They will hear from us. We will consult with them. As I said, if something doesn't go, if they do not agree with a policy that we would have crafted after consultation, we will bring it back. We will bring it to the attention of the people. This everything that we will do over the life of this council, understand, is with the people involved. And if an administration doesn't want to hear or act upon the wishes of the people, then there are consequences that can derive from you know from those things. But everything that we do surrounds a discussion, consultation with the people here in Region 10. I represent the people. And so if they said they don't want the road do with chip seal and they want to do with asphalt or concrete, then that is what I have to present at the council and advise the government of the day or the technical people that this is what the people in Wizrock want. That they want the road do with bitumen, that they want to do with concrete or whatever, that they do not want chip seal. If you still want to go and do chip seal and do substandard work, then the people will engage you. But I will use my office at all times. I will be respectful. I do not intend to be disrespectful to anybody. I intend to engage everyone, speak with them, write them, meet with them. As I said today, I met with the Minister of Health. We discussed an issue with a young baby, that a boy, Tafari Jacobis, that has to do a surgery. He is committed to helping. I have to get some documents up. And once the discussion can go in a professional manner and one that speaks to improving the social and economic well-being of our people, I will support them. For those, if there are programs that I do not believe after consultation is in the best interest of our people, we will oppose it. And that is as simple as it gets.
And of course, your council will be working closely also with the Mayor and Town Council and
Yeah.
other NGOs in the
One,
community.
yeah. In fact, one of the things I did in setting up the committees, there's a local government committee that was established there in the council. And one of the things that I did is I wrote the mayor, and she would have agreed that the local government meetings, rather than it being held at the RDC, that it be held at the MNTC, where our team will go across there. We will have both our technical people and the policymakers sit. The town clerk will be in those meetings so that we can be on one page going forward. They have agreed, and I believe it's the best approach in bringing the two parties, the two sides, the two teams together, the MNTC and the RDC. Those things that the MNTC may not be able to fund, we may have to look at ways in which, as the big brother, look at ways in which we can assist them in getting it. On our walkabout, we went into a compound. They had drums of tar there. I have asked my works committee chairman to engage the works superintendent and our specialists at the RDC to check it to see if it can work. And we should get those things out to the MNTC so that they can be engaged in road patching and these things until we can find the funds to actually do the entire road in a particular area.
Wonderful. And we're wrapping up now. You have done a lot of work going back to your community activities and so on. You've done a lot of work with young people. Of course, there's several programs happening at the moment. I think you've done some work with youths beyond Amelia's ward, like is it the Millie's hideout area or somewhere on the highway? You were doing a
Oh,
literacy program. I don't
yeah,
recall what
sure.
that program is called, but shed some light on that and the other
Yeah.
ventures that you are.
So, yeah, so a teacher approached me and she said that she was teaching at one of the schools on the highway. I can't remember the name, but she highlighted that there was a lack of resources in the community there.
Oh, that's the catch up
They had
program.
children. Yeah, the catch up program, we branded it catch up because we believe that once they were given the attention and the tools to do it, they would have catch up to the other students in the A and B classes, B schools. And it actually worked. They were children when I met them first, they couldn't say the ABC. They couldn't, read. And after the program was completed, and what we did too, we kept it in the ICT room. So I told them that I will have a facilitator come over and teach them ICT while she was teaching the literacy. And at the end of that program, they were able to write essays. I read a few of them on if I were the president, and I was happy. We provided them with tablets, the top three in the two different categories, and reading materials. And it was funded by my office, of course. The entire program, meals and everything was funded, and we were able to successfully pull it off. The young lady, the facilitator, Miss Lisa Pyle, she was instrumental in getting the children, keeping them involved in the activity, and I want to thank her for joining me, partnering um, with us, and she did a lot of work in that program. We had other programs like the Adopt a Grand Friend from 2018, where, and I'll tell you something in a minute, but the Adopt a Grand Friend, it was for senior citizens because at the time, and I still do, believe that to care for those who once care for us is one of the highest honors. Um, and so we went out. I introduced then the Region 10 discount card, and we invited persons to come on board, like German Family Store, James and Sons, many other supermarkets, and so on. The pharmacies, Jafar Pharmacy came on board, and they are providing discount. A gentleman met me today and said, "Yo, I am still using that card." And he remembered. He said you had stopped and you walked over to the Ice Rock. I think he mentioned, yeah, the Ice Rock area when I was at the party office, and you had distributed these cards to a couple of us. We were sitting there, Lyman, and he said only yesterday I went in and I got to a supermarket and I was able to get a discount. The idea behind those cards, and I think I can make it public now because I don't care anymore. But at the time, the Chinese were circling us, the stores. And by bringing that card out, I was actually attempting to have our people, our supermarkets, I was trying to assist them by channeling business to them through the use of the discount card. So rather than go to the Chinese and buy your food, you go to James and Son, or you go to German Family Store, or you go to Mayfield, or you go to Jafar Pharmacy, because the competition was so stiff that if we had not taken a position to come up with ideas such as the discount card, um, I believe a lot of our businesses would have folded. They would have suffered. And so I'm happy that many of them sign on to it. And our seniors, particularly, are able to get discounts when they visit these stores across Region 10.
Remarkable. That is remarkable. Finally, what do you intend to do about highlighting child sexual abuse and domestic violence in the region? We understand that it is still rife. Will you be working
Mm-hmm.
closely with relevant authorities, including the police and other organizations that deal with helping those
Yeah.
victims? What would your council be doing throughout your tenure in that area?
Okay, so let me just say that I'm happy you raised that. I was saddened when I heard that Region 10 had over 4,000 cases of abuse. In fact, on the welfare committee, I would have made a recommendation and invited one of the senior welfare officers at the Ministry of Social Protection, um, Human Services. I got to get familiar with these new names to sit as a co-opted member on the committee because I believe together they will be able to advise us and we can hammer out issues to fix the problem. Very soon, we will set up a child abuse support program for young people, for teenage parents, where we will be um, having persons counsel them, assisting them in cases to get back into school, pay for their exams and these things. I'm working, trying very hard to establish a program like that. It's a mess, especially in the rural communities, in those Amerindian villages. It's out of order. So we have to put systems in place to fix that. Um, and we will use the welfare committee, of course, to come up with these findings, to make recommendations, and we get the police involved. Of course, I will meet with them on a regular basis to brief them on what is happening. One such case came before me just a few days ago, and we have technology has allowed us, even in COVID-19, to be able to use that medium to get our message clearly to those who need to hear it and to investigate it. Under the community action plan, as I would mention, agriculture is big for the council. Very soon, where we would have launched the flyer, you will hear us investing in our kids, their home, as a result of the pandemic. And we have launched a competition. Farmtastic is the name, connecting kids to agriculture. We believe if we can teach them from this tender age to get involved in agriculture, then it will be a lifelong commitment for them as they grow. The first thing we do is eat. And once we realize that we cannot go without eating, that the agriculture sector holds the greatest potential to create hundreds of jobs in the region, food security, we'll be able to, you know, live more comfortable and get money. And so we want to teach them from the age of 4 to do that. I'm in contact with a company overseas that wants to open a furniture factory here. And so we're working on setting up the logistics for that, to getting them here. Of course, they're also going to be doing, another company has engaged me, discussions to do ICT in Lennox software, excuse me, where we'll be managing programs from in places like the US remotely, and persons will be paid for those jobs. We're in discussions with those companies. I want to launch what is called the Music Inspire Academy. As I said, I'm a musician, and we want to utilize the Lycius Hall to, Linden is the talent basket for the country. Bring all of our musicians together so that we can mold and train younger people. And who knows, maybe they'll be able to get jobs on the cruise ship once COVID-19 passes, and we can engage places like the Watuka House for them to have a Friday night gig and play, and they make some money. Tourism is also big. We want to partner with the committee there to boost tourism, the Blue Lakes and these other places. Empower our women, of course. Very soon you'll hear me launching and making mention of a factory where our women will receive funding to get involved in sewing. We're in a pandemic, and I advise them to let's do masks, sell it to companies. So if you want to do a mask for the RDC, they will be able to label it. And very soon they will get involved in that. The funding is already there. And we're going to teach young women about that. I spoke about the child abuse. I spoke about the adopt a grand friend. We want to at least convert one of the health centers, and I spoke to the minister today about it, and hopefully we can explore it. The premier health center here in Region 10, which is the 1 Mile Health Center, make it into a e-health facility where everything is done using technology, using the internet, using the computers, so persons don't have to wait. Their records can be saved online in a database. And finally, one of the areas I want to focus on as a result of this baby that I'm actually trying to raise $5 million for right now. And if you know of anybody that can
Is
assist,
that 5 million Guyana
I think
dollars?
yes, yeah. And we just touched the million mark, and so we have a long way to go. Of course, some folks in the diaspora has have come on board, and if you have anybody there that can assist, any amount will be welcome.
Wonderful.
And that's why the regional disaster for relief and assistance will be launched soon, where person and I will make the first contribution. It's all about transparency, where I will donate an amount, and the entire Region 10 will be able to see a screen highlighting how much funds is in that account for disaster and so on. So we're preparing um, for in the case of some disaster. However, we will where those families or that person affected can present their case to the board for approval. And of course, they will have to provide some evidence that indeed they're in some distress or something. And so
Wonderful.
there are some other things that I will share maybe at another time.
At another time. I
I
think
want to focus.
that you've really touched on everything, and so we're going to
Yeah,
I'm going to allow you the opportunity, a one
yeah.
minute opportunity to just speak to the people of Linden directly. But I wanted to add this point quickly based on what you had just said, what you previously said there in terms of projects and finances and donations and all these kinds of stuff to get things to happen. I was having a conversation with a Nigerian friend only last week.
Mm, mm,
And of course, Nigeria is a very, very wealthy country because of its oil. Very, very, very rich country because of its oil. And so we were talking, and he said, I understand that Guyana is now in the world's eye for the oil that it has. Be careful with America's intervention, be careful with Western intervention and so on, because wherever oil is, there's a curse that only afflicts the ordinary people and the locals and so on. Then he asked me, what was Guyana's population? And I said to him it was about 800 or something thousand. And we're talking about, because they're reading about Guyana now all over the world, I think we're talking about billions of barrels of oil.
mm,
And we have 800 and
mhm.
something thousand people. The oil is being exploited already. It's being sold. It's being, and he said to me, he said, if your country is so rich with oil and the population is like a small village in Nigeria, like a minute village in Nigeria, every Guyanese should be billionaires according to their money when we talked about the value of the money and so on. It hurts
Mhm.
me, and I'll be speaking with politicians on this program, opposition politicians, because we need to re-energize our politicians on the opposition side and to fight. Because if there's anything that anyone can say, with all the criticisms that we have for the previous government, it was a government that had a certain amount of decency, and it was returning Guyana to a place where corruption could have been tempered and all these kinds of stuff. But he said to me, he said, what are you people doing? And I want to ask you this question. When we talk about like little projects and we depending on the government to give us $25,000, are we as Guyanese really, really, do we understand as Guyanese the magnitude of the wealth of the nation, or are we going to follow that legacy and that those eras of the exploitation of diamonds and gold and bauxite and everything, where 70 80% of the people live below the poverty line? And so I wanted a quick, like a 1 minute response to that, and then we can wrap up.
Well, I what I will do is encourage persons to go read the real confession of an economic hitman. And that is why I am not too dependent on anything relating to the oil and gas sector, because it could be a blessing, it could be a curse. Um, I'll leave that for the big boys at the top to hammer out and to deal with. But it is my hope, and we can only hope that it's spread evenly. But while all of that is happening, I want to encourage our people in the region to let's continue to focus on agriculture. Don't let us become totally dependent on oil and gas. In countries like Nigeria, they did it at one stage, and then they quickly had to backpedal, and they went back to agriculture after neglecting the sector. But we will, carefully look on. I'm just hopeful that the administration of the day will have that conscience, that level of integrity among their membership, their colleagues, to remember that you're there to serve, and that Guyana, we have suffered over the years. We started to build momentum and we gained respect over the past 5 years. Let's continue to try and maintain that level of respect across the region.
Darren Adams, thank you for being here on KTP. We deeply appreciate the time you've taken from your busy schedule, and I want you to know that my admiration for you is genuine and paramount, and I will be following your sojourn as regional chairman of Region Number 10. Of course, I am someone that if things go wrong, I will come out and strongly. You know me, and people seem to see only the bad. What they construe as the bad whenever I would have to call politicians out and leaders in our community out for things that are counterproductive to the development of the community. But here I am this evening, deeply appreciative for your presence here, for the time you have taken. And I want the world to know, the diaspora to know that you're very hardworking, you're very committed. You are the real deal, and I feel strongly inside of me that you have places to go quickly, because honestly, I believe that the PPP bill will be removed from government quickly. But until then, stay safe, stay strong.
Yes, thank you.
Be good, and I'll just leave the viewers with this little tape from you.
I'm humble, and I would like to thank God, first of all, for allowing me this opportunity to be here in the land of the living. I would also like to thank the leadership of the APNU AFC for allowing my name, and on behalf of all the councillors representing the APNU AFC, for allowing our names to be included and shortlisted on the regional list. We are grateful, and I acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Amna Ali, our General Secretary, and her team. We are grateful. I would also like to thank my family and friends for their support over the years. Thank you for the trust and confidence you have invested in me by electing me to serve as your regional chairman. I am truly honored and proud to be formally and publicly installed as the chairman of this respected institution. And on this day, I commit to you without reservation that I will work tirelessly to champion the cause of Region 10, to lead its mission, and to strengthen and secure its future. I know it's a significant commitment, but I am prepared to contribute along with the newly elected and returning councillors to build upon the successes of what we would have achieved over the past 5 years, and to fulfill the RDC's mission, which is to support, promote, and protect our people's interests here in Region 10.